welcome back to Farm Dream. Today is the day that I've been waiting for, because today we are making sourdough bread. So last week I posted 5 videos that are an introduction to sourdough. We talk all about starter, we talk about the tools you're gonna need to bake bread, about how to clean your kitchen as a baker of sourdough, and more. So if you're new to my channel and you haven't seen those yet, I would suggest starting there because there's tons of valuable information in those videos that are going to help you as you make your bread. If you have seen them and you're ready to go, let's dive in, but not before I say something that's kind of been on my mind about baking bread, and that is that I think that there's this myth floating around that it's incredibly hard to bake amazing bread at home. That's not true. All you need to make great bread at home is good starter and a little bit of patience and dedication to the craft, because your first loaf isn't gonna be your best loaf, but you're gonna get there with a little bit of practice, I promise you. And not only is it delicious, it's also this really medicinal and meditative process. There's just something about having like dough all over your hands and flour all over your shirt and all over your kitchen, and the fact that like your kitchen just smells yeasty and delicious for hours, and the fact that you can look at a loaf of bread and be like, made that, is invaluable. So I believe in you to be able to do it. And not only that, I just want to encourage you that if you don't currently believe in yourself, bread baking is literally in your blood. I don't care who you are or where you're from. I know for a fact that your ancestors, dating back thousands and thousands and thousands of years, made bread all the time, every day, and it was probably extremely delicious bread. So if you start to lose faith, just know that you have a long line of ancestors cheering you on, and I'm cheering you on, and you can do it. So let's get started. So bread baking is a long process. From beginning to end, this will probably take you about 10 hours total. So if you want bread for dinner, just make sure that you wake up a little bit earlier maybe than you're used to, or if you're an early riser, perfect. I'm not, so I have to force myself out of bed, but it's for bread, so it's for a good cause. And also, don't forget to mix your leaven the night before. This is how you do it. To make your leaven, you're gonna add a heaping spoonful, which is gonna come out to about 50 to 80 grams of starter to a bowl. And you're gonna add in 200 grams of 70 to 80 degree purified water and mix the two together until they are milky. You're then gonna add 200 grams of organic, unbleached, all-purpose white flour, and you're gonna stir the 3 ingredients together to combine. You're then gonna cover this with a kitchen towel and let it sit in a warm spot overnight. But a pro tip is to put a wet paper towel between your bowl and your kitchen towel, just so you don't get any dough on your kitchen towel. The next morning, when your leaven is bubbly and fed and ready to go, you're gonna add 200 grams of it to a large mixing bowl, and you're gonna mix in 700 grams of warm purified water. Again, you're gonna mix the two together until they are milky, and then you're gonna add in 1,000 grams of unbleached, organic, all-purpose white flour. You're then gonna mix your dough together, and at this point your dough is gonna feel very shaggy. It's gonna feel kind of dry, it's gonna be sticking to your hands a lot, and you might be wondering, did I add enough water? But yes, you did. This is exactly how it should be at this point. So just go ahead and cover it with a kitchen towel and put it in a warm place to sit for 30 minutes. During this 30 minutes, you're gonna mix 50 grams of warm, purified water with 25 grams of salt. And as you're adding the salt, you're gonna be like, holy crap, this is a lot of salt, but I promise you want your bread to be salty, and just remember this is making 2 loaves. So mix the two together and get them as incorporated as you can. And then when your 30 minutes is up, you're gonna add that salt water to your dough, making sure to scrape all of the salt out of your little bowl to get it all in there. Then you're going to mix your dough together, and this is where your dough should start feeling a lot more doughy and wet in all the right ways, and you're just going to make sure to squeeze that salt into every little bit of your dough. And then once it's combined, you are going to cover it, and your first proof is going to start. It is a 4-hour proof. However, for the first 3 hours of your 4-hour proof, every 30 minutes you're going to perform what's called stretch and folds. So take your dough out of the bowl just to get it unstuck. And then you are gonna pick your dough up and you are gonna stretch it. What you're trying to do is essentially make a rainbow shape over your hand, and then you're gonna set it in the bowl. So when you pick it up and you make that rainbow shape, that's the stretch. and whenever you set it back down in the bowl on itself, that's the fold. So you're gonna do 4 stretch and folds every half hour. So pick your dough up and then set it back down, and then turn your bowl, and then pick it up again, stretch it, set it back down, and then cover it and let it sit in that warm spot until your next half hour has passed. And you're gonna complete this 4 times every half hour for the first 3 hours. You'll notice as you go along that your dough starts to get fluffier and more luscious and easier to work with, and it's also going to get less and less sticky every time. So if you're noticing this, you are doing something right. And then after the last fold, you are just going to let your bread sit in that warm spot for the last hour until your 4-hour proof is done. Once your 4-hour proof is done, your dough should look nice and fluffy and might even have a few bubbles on the top. You are gonna clean your surface. Make sure you check out my video about how to clean your kitchen as a sourdough baker. You are gonna flour your surface generously, and then you are going to turn your dough out onto this floured surface. Using your bench scraper, you are gonna divide your dough in half. This is gonna make 2 separate loaves, and you're gonna take each loaf and you're going to just make it into a round, plump little ball of dough by tucking the bottoms under. If you need to use your bench scraper for this part, by all means, it can be a very helpful tool for rounding out your loaves. And once you have 2 little button shapes, you're going to push with your palm and pull with your fingers to knead your dough and add tension to your dough. What this is going to do for you is when your dough bakes into bread, it's going to give it a little extra spring. So knead both loaves, and then they're going to sit out on the table for 30 minutes, and while they sit, you can flour your proofing baskets. When 30 minutes have passed, you are going to shape your dough further by pulling it into a rectangular shape, by folding the top and the bottom to the middle, turning and rolling your dough into a little ball. Once you have a cute little folded ball, you are going to pick up your dough and place it seam side down into your proofing basket. You're going to repeat for your second loaf. You're then going to cover both of your loaves and you're going to put them back in their warm spot to proof for 4 more hours. When 3.5 of those 4 hours have passed, you're going to preheat your oven to 500 degrees and place your Dutch oven with the lid on inside of your oven. When your Dutch oven is hot and your 4 hours have passed and your bread is ready to go, you are going to turn it out on a piece of parchment paper, and using your lom, you are going to score the top of your dough so steam can escape during baking. Add your bread to your 500 degree Dutch oven and add them both to the oven, turning the oven down to 425 as soon as your bread's inside. Cook for 20 minutes with the lid on, 25 with the lid off, and voila, you have a perfect loaf of bread, hot and almost ready to eat. So good. So I hope that you are buttering up a delicious slice of sourdough bread for dinner right now. If you have any questions about anything, maybe you're running into something that I didn't cover or something isn't clear to you, please, by all means, leave a comment below or shoot me an email. I'm always around to help out. I'm a total nerd for this stuff, so come to me with your questions. I'm linking my starter below. If you don't have any, it's a really good place to start if you want to make amazing sourdough at home, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you later. By the way, let yourself eat as much bread as you want, anytime you want it. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, I don't know, life's too short to not eat bread. It's so good. It's so good. And it's best the day you bake it, so eat it while it's hot. Oh, and take a bunch of photos of your bread too. Because you should be proud and you should take a bunch of photos. My bread is like my kids. If I had kids, I would take this many photos of them, but I don't, so bread it is. Okay, bye.